Hey guys, it's Steve here from CG Geek with an exciting new Blender tutorial. First off, as you might have noticed, I'm showing my face, and that was something I wasn't sure if you guys would like or not, so I took some polls on my Facebook and Twitter pages, and it seems like it was pretty much 50-50, so I'm just going to do this a little bit in the beginning of the video, maybe at the end of the video, and see if you guys like it. So if you like it, leave a thumbs up and leave a comment, and if you don't like it, well, tell me that you don't like seeing my face. It doesn't hurt my feelings, don't worry. So we're going to be creating a Star Wars Star Destroyer, and here's a finished render here. This was created by myself and Galeb Alexandrov. He took a planet out of his space course that he created with 80 burrows. Definitely check that out. There's a link in the description. Huge shout out for making this look so awesome. But yes, definitely check out the space course if you're interested in planets, and thank you Gleb for creating this amazing looking render. But this is the Star Destroyer we will be creating in Blender. And I'm really excited to show you guys some of the tips and techniques to make this quick and easy, actually. Way easier than you think it might be. Something like this you might think would take like weeks to add all these details, and using a few new Blender features like micro displacement maps, we will be doing this so much quicker and easier that you won't know what to do with all your free time. I also want to give a huge shout out to all my Patreon supporters. They're making these videos possible for you guys. And if you'd like to download the finished Star Destroyer, definitely head over to my Patreon page where you can download that blend and all the other finished files on the channel for just $3 a month. So definitely go check that out if you're interested in supporting me and getting the finished files. Okay, so on to the tutorial. Now, when you're creating something like a Star Destroyer, you obviously need plans. Now, I got you these plans, but you might be surprised how difficult these plans were to get. We lost many good people getting these plans. No, I'm just kidding. I just Googled it. And I'll have a link in the description, and you can have the plans I have here all to yourself to create your own Star Destroyer. I highly recommend starting with plans like this, because then you get all your proportions the same and even, and it will look just like it does in the Star Wars movies, so that's going to be a plus. Okay, so in Blender now, we're going to open up those super secret plans. And to do that, I'm just going to hit N to bring up my Properties tab, check Background Images right there, drop it down and add in an image. I'm going to go ahead and open up my, my plans. Again, link in the description if you want to follow along. And now all I have to do is set up a few views here, because there's multiple views in these plans. As you can see, going into front view, we have 4 different views here. So I'm going to start in right view, and right is actually going to be front for me, just to make it so my model is facing the way I want. So to do this, all I have to do is make sure you're in right view by hitting number pad 3, and then we're going to change our X and Y axis to line it up right on with the model here. Hitting Z to go into wireframe, it'll hide the cube there, make it a little easier. Now you can hold Shift to fine tune your adjustments, just to get it right on. That looks pretty perfect. And then change the view to be right only. Right there in the axis. So now when you go to side view or front view, it's not there, but it's only in right view. Perfect. Alright, now we can collapse that down, add in an image, and do the same thing for back view or rear view. So go ahead and open up, well, you don't have to open actually, you can just click that button there and grab that one there. Change this from all views to, well, we'll go left view. Now to switch to left view, you just want to go Control 3. Now we're in left view, and all you have to do is drop this image in just like that one. So it's lined up straight with the back here. Hold Shift to kind of fine tune those adjustments, and then line it up on the bottom. Again, holding Shift and just looking in the end here to get it lined up right in there. That's how you're going to know it's identical. So right about there. Looks pretty close to me. Perfect. Alright, that's good for that. And now we just have 2 more views. So drop it down, add the image, grab it right there. Let's make this one top only. So change it to top. Hit 7 on the number pad to go to top view. And we'll just position this right about there. Let's just line it up with that line there to be consistent here. So we'll line up with that line there. Awesome. And then I'm going to line up with the Y here to be dead center. Again, we might have to tweak it just to get it lined up a little bit, looking at these points here and here. And then one more to do, and that is the front view. So go ahead and add the last image, grab the render there, or the plans, super secretive plans, and we'll go front view. So now when we hit number pad 1, I want to line this up to be right in view with these plans here. So right about there, just looking on top to make sure it's lined up like we did the other one. It is. And then the y-axis, lining it straight up with the center of our amazing Star Destroyer. So we'll put it right in there. Cool. All right, so now we can start modeling. We have our views all set up. So you can collapse down your properties tab now. We're going to go into top view, and I'm going to tab into edit mode, hit Control R to put a cut straight down the middle of my cube here, and then hit B to select these vertices and delete them. Now we're going to add a mirror modifier. So I'm just going to click modifiers, add modifier mirror right there. And we're going to change it to Y and turn off X. And we can turn on clipping as well. We can hit Z now to come out of wireframe mode. Okay, so now we're going to tab into edit mode, and we can grab these vertices here. And you want to make sure that this button is checked so you can select vertices beyond. So go ahead and hit that. Now when you select, you can see we're selecting both of them. It basically selects vertices behind the mesh. Alright, now we can grab those, pull them to the back, grab both of these, pull them to the front, and let's just scale these. Well, first let's just pull them in. Grab these here, pull them way in here, and just kind of form that little tip there. So you can see how much easier the mirror modifier makes this whole process. Super easy. Let's just grab these last two here and pull them into the corners of our wings. So now we have the base shape on top. Let's work on the front view. So I'm going to hit 3 to switch to my right view. And here I can grab these and pull them in and down. So I want these to be, I'll just grab them and scale them down along the Z. Right about there. And let's grab these here and pull them up. Right about there. Okay, right about there. Good. Now we're going to have to pull these back, this back one here, down to the bottom. Like that. As you can see, we have the box shape coming together nicely. Got to do the top vertice here. Hit Z so you can see through it a little bit. Grab those vertices and pull them down to be right on there. And then we'll grab this vertice, and oh, it's pretty on, but I want it to be right here and not with those. So this one has to be right there. And you can see here, these vertices, we're going to kind of follow that shape there, along there. All right, so that's looking pretty good. So there's our basic model. You can see that on the side view here, it's a little bit smaller, even though it's all the way out on the top view. Not a whole lot. You can try scaling and stuff, but it doesn't really matter if you're off a little bit. We can still work with that just fine. Okay, so now let's start adding in some more shapes. So I'm just going to start off by box modeling this pretty basic. All right. So in top view, you can see we have all these different shapes. And well, to start, let's just start adding in some more cubes to add in some more of the basic details. I'm going to Shift A, add in a cube. Well, first tab into edit mode, then add in that cube. So we have the mirror modifier working. Just pull it to the edge there so it connects, and then we can pull it back in. And we'll start off with the biggest cube on bottom here. And that would be this one here. So I'm just going to scale along the Z here. Hit Z to come out of wireframe here. And we'll fit it in right here. Grabbing these vertices here, pulling it back to right around there. Going to top view, we can grab just these vertices here and fit them into the cube there. Very cool. Grab them, and you can see just how much these plans make your life so much easier, and make everything go so much smoother when you have something that you can just line up all your vertices straight to, and then don't have to worry about them. So it's a huge time saver. Okay, so there's our first main shape, and that looks pretty good. We can go ahead and add in the next one by just grabbing this, hitting L, Shift D, pull it up along the Z, and we're just going to have to scale along the X a little bit there to line up the back and the front, and then pull it down to be about the right height. Actually, we're going to want to pull the front in quite a bit more, just to this cubic point there. And as you can see, it's all leaning forward just slightly. So you can go ahead and grab these and just pull them down a little bit to line up a little bit better. Now it looks like our bottom one here needs to be scaled up a little bit, at least in the back here. So go ahead and pull it up a little bit. Now from front view, you can see we got some work to do. So we can grab our bottom cube here as well. It's important to keep switching views so you don't do too much in one view without fixing it. Drag it out. And then again, grab those two edges there and pull them down to get that angle. And it looks like we got that angle right on. Perfect. Pull these down. Pull them out. Whoops, we want to pull out the whole end here. And line it up right with that. So we have both our angles going together nicely there. When we go to side view, we need to pull this one down just a little bit. So I'm just going to alt-click that and kind of pull it down to fit in there nicely. Okay, this one's a little low, so let's pull that one up a little bit. And then grab the base bottom face there and just drag it down a little further so it's into the mesh. Alright, and there is the base mesh to our Star Destroyer. Let's go top view. Now it looks like I pulled these faces out a little too far because I was going to the box here, but I want it actually to be in there a little closer. So I'm just going to grab both these, hit GG twice on my keyboard, and that's just going to slide along the vertices. So I'm just going to slide it in right to be about, whoop, let me get this, GG, and then drag it right into there. GG. Okay. Alright, the same thing for these here. Just grab these two and these two, hit G twice, and you can slide them. Whoops, I didn't get all of these. Just box select them. Pull it in right to be about, don't want you, what about there? Okay, and that's a little bit more proportionate to what I'm going for. Okay, so moving on, let's add the extra detail we have here and here. These are just going to be two more cubes. I can just go ahead and actually duplicate this one. We're just going to Shift D, pull it out in front here. This can be scaled down quite a bit. First, scale it along the x-axis to be somewhere around there. And then we'll scale it along the z-axis a bit. Alright, now we just have to kind of fit it in here the way we want it. Pull it up a little higher, pull these down a little lower. Basically just making cube shapes, very simple. And then we're going to go top view. We can grab the vertices and kind of move them around. I'm going to double tap G again, because doing it that way will mess up, or not mess up, your geometry very much. It will slide along the vertices instead of moving them around and stuff the way you don't want it. So now I'm going to scale along the Y a bit here and just line these up nicely with the shape there. And you can see, oh, let me scale it just a little bit more here. Pull it in a little bit there. Okay, cool. That it's fitting good. Gotta change it in the front though, because it's too big. So let's just grab it there. It can be a little hard to see through your mesh sometimes when you got a lot of things going on. But something like that looks good. And pull it down a little lower there. Pull it down a little lower there. Pull this one up a little bit, just kind of following these edges you see here. And that looks pretty good. Let's grab these bottom ones and just scale them along the Z to 0. Cool. That was looking very good. All right. Maybe just pull this one down a little bit. Good. And then we'll have the same thing up on top here. So I'm just going to grab that cube, Shift D, pull it up there, and go to top view. We can see that this one's a bit smaller and a little different shape. So we can just grab these vertices here. Again, GG, because it saves time, so do that. Grab this one, GG, slide it in. These two, GG, pull it back, GG, pull it in. GG, man. Okay. Let's grab these two, GG, and I feel funny saying that, but that's what you do. You double tap G. And double tap G one more time. Well, we'll just drag this forward there for that shape there. Now you can see we need to pull it down a bit. But besides that, it looks good. Maybe scale it along the X just a little bit to sink it in there. Alright, so there's one more shape done. And it's looking pretty good. Maybe we want to drop this one down a little bit. just because it's a little bit high in there. Make sure the angles look right. I think it needs to come down just a little bit there to kind of match the angle right there. And it's looking very good. All right, cool. Let's pull that down a little bit, and let's pull this up just a little bit here. That one has to go down a little bit too. All right, cool. So there's really no wrong way of doing this because it's a Star Wars model, and they vary from, you know, one ship to another. So you can actually get away with a lot of modifications if you want, and it's fun to kind of experiment and change it up a little bit. Okay, so on top now, I'm going to add a few details here. You see how it kind of carves in there and out. Let me go ahead and add those details in by going Control R, tabbing on our model, Control R, and dropping in a cut right there, Control R, and a cut right there. Same thing over here, Control R, cut right there, Control R, a cut right there. Well, hold up. We might only need one cut, actually. I was just thinking about it. I think I can get away with just one cut. The less cuts, the better. So we'll just start with one cut, and then we need to have a cut along here. So we're going to drop that in right about there. And now, yeah, I can just go grab these two, double tap G, pull them over there a little bit, double tap G, and pull them up. Very cool. Actually, these are a little deep right now. Pull them out a little bit. Don't want it to be quite so deep. And now all I have to do is go face select, delete this face, and then delete these two faces as well. X, delete faces. Then just select my vertices here, select these four, hit F to make a face. These four, hit F to make a face. And I'm just moving around with my middle mouse wheel if you're wondering here. These two, hit F to make a face. And we get that cool looking shape there. Very nice. We can grab both these and, well, let's just grab them one by a time. And G twice. I highly recommend doing mostly your vertice moving, double tapping G, just so you keep all the same angles and everything. It's just sliding along the edge. It's a super handy tip that I highly recommend you guys take advantage of. All right, so we got to do the same thing down here because we have another notch in our model. So I'm just going to drop cut right there and a cut right there. And then do the same thing, delete these four faces, delete them, and you too. And then we can just fill it in, and we have that notch. So face there, and let's face off right there. Oops, face. Cool. Top view, and we can kind of drag these around again, double tapping G. You too, double tap G. Cool. All right, that's looking pretty good. That one looks a little deep as well. So let's pull them back a bit. Double tap G, pull it back to about there. Double tap G, pull it back. Just keeping the geometry very similar on both sides. Very cool. All right, so we're moving on to the next stage, which is going to be adding in this highly detailed groove in the middle here. This is fun. All right, so to do this, I'm going to go Control R, tab in edit mode, Control R, drop it right there, and pull it up very high to be right around there. And then same thing on the bottom, drop it in there and pull it down, just leaving a pretty thin edge. If you want to tweak it later, you grab it and again, hit G twice. Just slide it, just like you do an edge loop. Cool. And now we're going to bring that in. So you're going to grab that middle vertice there, go to front view, and as you can see, we're just going to hit extrude and scale along the Shift Z. Scale it in just about the same amount that you see here. So that looks about right to me. And we'll tab out of edit mode, and you can see we have this cool looking groove. Sweet. In fact, it didn't actually work quite the way I wanted it to, because you see down here it didn't move the right way. So I'm going to tab it edit mode, Control Z, and now I'm just going to, instead of what I did there, I'm going to scale it in, extrude, and scale it in along the X only, or the Y only, I'm sorry. Yes. Something like that. There we go. And that moves it in everywhere. Because scaling it is going to be doing it, pulling it down towards the center, and we didn't want that there. All right, cool. So let's do the back real quick here. We're going to grab these two faces here, and we're going to pull them in, and we're going to have to scale them along the z-axis. Actually, I missed two of them there. Grab both these and both these. I'm going to scale them along the z to be very similar to that, and then pull them in there, just like so, for the back end of our Star Destroyer. You can see that looks pretty cool. Not bad. Our model here is poking through. We're gonna have to move that in. Let me check to make sure it's lined up here. Actually, this could come in a little bit there. But yeah, I'm gonna have to grab the bottom of this, or just these two frames here, and pull them up so they stay out of our model. Maybe pull that one in just a little bit. Cool. So there's the base model for our Star Destroyer. Now we just got a few more details to continue adding on. Let's go ahead and add on the top part here. So I'm going to tab into edit mode, put my cursor right there, and Shift A, add in a new cube. We'll scale it down, go to top view, pull it in, whoop, pull it out, and then pull it in so it attaches with the mirror clipping. Pull it into being right about the right size that way is. And then here, just grab these two, pull them up, and pull them over. And then same with the bottom vertices here, grab both of them, line it up. You can see that box modeling, hard surface box modeling this is super easy and a lot of fun. It really is. I like it. I'm having fun. I hope you guys are having fun. All right. So there we go. I'm going to pull in those two at the end there to make it look something like that. And let me see here. We have, yeah, this is a little thin right now, but we can be adding detail to that later. We can thicken that up by adding some more extrusions. And then this has to come down a bit there. Both of these. Perfect. All right. So from front view, we have our model coming together. From front view, our model is a little bit small, I've noticed. You could try to compensate by scaling down this image, but I just kind of worked with it being slightly oversized. It's up to you if you want to scale it down so it's right on or not. Doesn't matter. But go ahead and tab into edit mode, and we'll add that top cube there. Scale it down, make sure it's connected in the mirror mode there. Pull it out to the right size. Something like that. Pull it forward a little bit. All right, cool. Then I would deselect the front there, and I want to pull this back. Oh, this goes to about there, and then just the center comes back to about there. And then from front view, you can see it's a little big as well. Just pull it down and pull it in. And then the bottom comes up. Just box selecting and moving vertices around, and it's looking good. All right, you can see that from the front view. We need to make a few more changes. All right, so this is kind of a, well, first of all, it's a little too big. So we have to pull this in to kind of match how these are pulled in on the end there a little bit. And then I'm going to pull it in on bottom there a little bit too, just to match the angles. The center comes up a little bit, right about so. And you can see it's looking very, very good. I like it. I can pull these down a little bit. Oh, not you. Stay right where you are. Perfect. So there is the block modeling of our Star Destroyer. We got a few more details to do. I'm not going to bother too much about the back areas that you won't see in our render. If you wanted to continue doing those modeling, by all means continue doing that, but I'm not going to show every detail on this because it might take me 2 weeks to do that, but we're not be too picky about stuff like that. Okay, so let's just do a few more details on this and then start getting into some higher details, like fine details. All right, so first off, I'm going to grab this face here, and we have another extra thing that comes off the side. another extra thing. That's the scientific explanation for it. I'm just going to Shift D that face and extrude it out. Something like so. If we check from front view, we can kind of get it lined up to being an estimate of about right. I'm going to pull it down to match the angle. Okay, and then I'm going to grab that face and drag it down. Alright, something like that is looking about right. Then the face on the end has to come in a ways. Something like that. And that's going to just about do it for that. We have that cube on both sides. Cool. Little extra detail there. So at this point, if you want to have an easier time kind of seeing the details and the creases in here, I found it looks a lot nicer if you go to your display settings here by hitting N and opening this up and turning on matte cap. You can see that just gives you all the shadows and stuff that you like to see, so you can see where the edges are lining up and everything. And then ambient occlusion. That just makes your model look so much nicer when you're working on it, and being able to see the interactions with each other makes it a lot easier to just kind of tell if you have everything in the right place or not. So go ahead and do that now if you haven't already, and it will just make your life a bit easier and make your model look that much cooler. So adding in a little bit more detail here, I'm going to Alt-click the ring of vertices there, and I'm going to inset it. So it's going to drop it down to about there. Now I'm going to just extrude and pull it in and scale it along the X a little bit. Maybe not quite that much, just scale it back a little bit more. But something like that gives you some more detail. That's kind of like the plate, and then you have more details underneath that. And same thing can be done on a few of these actually. Most of these are kind of like a plate. Let me select. Maybe I'll just do this top one first. You grab the outer vertices and you inset them just a bit. Then you extrude them and pull them in. Scale them on the X a little bit. Alright, so you get that kind of plate that you can put the details inside there. And it looks pretty sweet. You can do that with as many of these as you want. Pretty easy. Just inset and extrude and scale. Actually, you're better off pulling so you don't mess up the vertices much. Pull it in there a little bit. Pull it in there a little bit. Very cool. Yeah, you can do as much of that as you want. I'm just going to do this last one here and then maybe that one. So inset, pull it in a little bit. Nope, I have to extrude first. Pull it in a little bit. Grab that face, pull it in a little bit. And it looks pretty cool. Then we got one more here. I'm just going to Alt-click that. Inset, just a little bit. Then scale it along the X a little bit. And then pull it in this way a little bit. Whoops, again, I didn't extrude. So scale on the X a little bit now. Pull it in a little bit. Very cool. Yes. So that's a little bit more detail. And then I'm going to do a little bit of details on the top of it here for these things here. You can see you already have some of these details in your plans. They're good plans. So go ahead and I'm going to move the vertices that are on the face of them to kind of line up a little better here. Now I'm going to go Control R and put one more cut there for some of the details we'll be doing. And what I found easiest is to just duplicate this center face here. So make sure you got the top face selected. Hit Shift D to duplicate it. And now we're going to work with these vertices to kind of add in these details. Like we did before, I'm just going to go... Actually, I'm just going to hide everything else for now. So this is kind of a trick to keep everything else out of your face. Just hit L on the bottom one and hit H. And now you don't have to worry about grabbing those vertices and messing them up at this point. So now I'm going to be using G twice to move my vertices around, and I'm going to slide them up, G twice, slide them back. Remember to keep using the double tap G instead of just sliding them, because this is going to keep all the angles correct. Alright, now I need another cut in here, a cut in here, cut right there, and a cut right there. Then one right there. This is to add the extra detail like I did before on the edges. So go ahead and delete those faces, and that looks cool. Now we can kind of grab these vertices and pull them. Double tap G. I almost committed the same fault that I keep telling you guys to watch out for. But just double tapping G is the best way to go to keep all your angles the same. Alright, that looks pretty good. Now I can grab this whole face here by hitting L, selecting it, and then extrude it upwards. Now this has to be subtle. You don't want too much of this. The bigger you make this, the smaller in scale the whole thing kind of seems. So don't make that too thick. Alright, so that's kind of the way I did that paneling there. Now we can change some of the front panels here as well. So this one, for example, let me Option H, unhide it all. Go ahead and put in 2 cuts over here for this panel here. One there, and then I'm going to grab these, double tap G to place them up, just like I did before. How come I have duplicate vertices here? You don't want duplicate vertices. Alright, it doesn't seem like it's there anymore. Well, maybe there is. If you have duplicate vertices, just select everything and click remove doubles. And yeah, I did have some duplicates there. I still do, actually. No, I'm just selecting the bottom vertice. Okay, that's a pretty noob mistake. Don't do that. Alright, so Control R and drag it down right there. And make sure you're selecting the top faces. If you don't want to do that, that's what that button here for is, to make sure you're not checking through. But I like to leave that selected for the most part, just because it's more helpful. Just make sure you're not grabbing through the mesh. Alright, so double tapping G and curating that. Yep, it's looking good. And because I'm double tapping G, it's keeping all the angles the way I want them here. Tab back in edit mode, grab this one, just the top one there, yep. And double tap G again to pull it in. And it looks good. So I'm going to grab that face now. I'm going to Shift D it. I'm going to Control I to select everything else and hit H to hide it. And you can add in some of the details here like we were doing before. We'll just Control R right there, Control R right there. Grab these face here, delete that face. Hit L to select the whole thing. And we'll give this a bit of its own detail by extruding it upwards. Cool. Option H in edit mode to unselect everything, and you can see more details. So that's how you add in the top plate details. You can see there's a few more shapes around here that I added in my finished scene. You can continue doing this as much as you want. I'll just put one there, and I just have a few more here that I'd like to add in. So go ahead and add in the vertices first. I'm just going to put the cuts where I want them, and then I'll line them up later. That one lines up very nicely. And this is the process. I'm going to save my project. Now is probably a pretty good time to save. Never be too careful. Oh, I can't spell right now. Yikes. Cut this out. Edit that part of the video out. Alright. So for the platforms now, I'm going to do the same thing real quick. Just like I did these, move the vertices around. I don't feel like you guys really need to see that, so I'm going to quick jump ahead to when that's done. Alright? Cool. Okay, so I went ahead and added those extra 2 plates here, just this one and this one that you can see kind of in our reference images here. And again, just duplicating the face and sliding the vertices along to the corners, very easy. And then I just slid these back a little bit here to create that crease. And there's a few more details that we could do. For example, this little thing here. I might quick do that now, but most of these I'm going to just call good now because I think you guys got the idea of how to create most of this stuff. So now it's just a matter of doing it. That takes too much time for the tutorial, really. So I think I'm going to call it there. But yeah, I'm just going to turn clipping back on, and I can quick shrink this down for that little piece there pretty easily. Scale along the Z a bit, pull it up, and then let's just go to top view. And yeah, we want to pull these faces back here. No, not faces, vertices. Change it to vertices right there, and we'll just pull these in a little tighter there. And then this has to come back like so. Very good. Okay. That looks a little weird, actually. I don't really like this extra face on top, so I'm just going to go Control plus twice X, delete those faces. Cool. Now I can just face off the top of that again by alt-clicking that ring and hitting F to face off. Alright, let's just grab that vertex back there, drop it down, and then pull this up a little bit in the back so we kind of get that angle. Alright, cool. That should do it. Go front view. Yeah, I just want to pull that down a little bit. And maybe pull the front. You know what, I can do the same thing down here, guys, with these faces. Just Control A twice. Whoops. Just Control A once, I guess. And then let's grab that ring. Right there, yeah. Just all those bottom faces and delete those. Don't even need them. That one too. Okay. And then I just want to grab those two bottom vertices on this here. So Z to go into wireframe and pull those out a little bit. Sweet. Okay, so this is much, there's more detail that could be done, but I'm going to call it here. I want to get into the micro displacement details. Well, you know what? I should probably do these cool looking octagon things on top first, just because it's somewhat important. So before we get into the micro displacements, we got that and maybe this down here, because you do kind of see this in the render. There was some details that I did in the bottom of mine as well that I'm not going to really show because the render I'm going for isn't going to need it. And again, it just takes time, and people don't have all day. So we're going to go Shift A and add in an icosphere. Now we want to turn off clipping so we can scale these down to be much smaller. And actually I want to flip it over to that side, so just grab them over here. And we're just going to kind of estimate where these would be. And you can see the icosphere looks a lot like the actual ball that comes on top of this. I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees so we kind of have that point on top. And then position them right around there. And I think the scale looks pretty close, right about there. Top view, I'm going to have to slide them back. Alright. And then there was just kind of a cool sort of wireframe mesh holding it up. So what I did for that is I'm just going to go in vertices select. Let's hit period to center in on this icosphere. And I want to just select the vertices around here. So I'm just going to do this, going around the icosphere. It's a little weird because of the vertices in the icosphere, but that's fine. Just that. And I'm going to go front view. Alright, Shift D. And now I'm going to extrude these straight downward. Right. So that's what it looks like. You might be thinking, well, that looks terrible, Steve. What are you thinking? Well, we're going to go L. We're going to go P, separate by selection. And I'm going to grab that, and I'm just going to add the wireframe modifier onto it. And voila, you can see we have our legs. Now I'm going to offset it to be a little bit, well, I'm just going to scale on Shift Z, I guess. And actually I want it to be, because the origin point's right there, I want it to be on this. So I'm going to select those, Shift S, cursor to selected, and then I'm just going to hit period, so it's going to scale around the cursor. So I'm going to go scale on Shift Z, and scale it down just a little bit. And there you have our kind of braces for this this octagon. Now, they might be a little big still. I might want to scale them along with Shift Z some more. Something like that. And actually, you can see, problem is, this is scaling in because our mirror modifier isn't centered. So I need to go Shift S, cursor to selected, and then grab this. You can see the origin's over here now. I need to just go Mesh, Transform. I have to do this in object mode, so hit Tab, and then go Transform, Origin to 3D Cursor, and that snaps it back there. So when you scale this, you want to make sure you're scaling not at the 3D cursor, but on the median point. So now we go scale along with Shift Z, and that looks better. Okay, cool. And one last thing that we can add to this is tabbing into edit mode. I'm going to Shift A. Well, let's first select this. Shift S, cursor to selected, and then Shift A, add in a cube, scale it way down. Turn clipping on now because we can turn that back on. And then we're going to hit Z so we can see it in wireframe. Now I'm going to scale it along the Z. And I'm going to put a few cuts in it. So let me just grab that and put a few cuts right in there. Something about, whoop, sorry about that. Control R, a few cuts right in there. And yeah, that looks about good. Okay, cool. Now you can see we have kind of that wireframed like metal frame work that I'm going for. So I'm going to put a cut that ways on it as well, and then on top here I'll put a cut. Let me just grab you right there, put a cut like that. So we have that kind of detailed little wireframe thing, easily created with the wireframe modifier. So there you go, guys. That's a little tip for you using the wireframe modifier to get work done. It's pretty handy. Now, I think this might be a little high, so I might tab into edit mode, grab these icospheres, pull them down a little bit. But okay, now we just have this top little base to create. I'm just going to Shift D that plane there, Control I, hide everything else but that plane I made there. And now in top view, we can kind of see this last little framework here that we want to create. Go double tap G to pull these vertices in. Double tap G, pull them in. And then I want to select both these, double tap G, slide them in this ways. And same in the front here, double tap G to pull them in. Let me pull those back a little bit. Okay. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Okay, cool. Alright, now in front view, tab in edit mode, and I can unhide the rest of the mess just so we can see it there. Hit L, and this is just going to be a simple extrusion. So it's going to go up, goes up a bit, comes in a bit, so we're going to pull it in a little bit. Whoop, we can turn clipping back on, and we'll pull it in a little bit, and then from the top view, these come in a bit too. So it's kind of like a thing. Whatever this is, that's what it is. And then we're just going to do an extrusion, scale it up a bit, extrusion, pull it straight up a bit, just to kind of get that crazy looking shape. But okay, that looks to be close enough for me. These top vertices I think should be scale on the Z to 0. Same with these, scale on the Z to 0. And those back there too, scale on the Z to 0. And those are scale on the Z to 0. I'm just going S, Z, 0. Alright, and then these can be straightened off too, scale on the Y to 0. And we're just going to straighten up our vertices a little bit. And then maybe these two back here should be scaled along the X to 0. Wait a minute, I don't want these selected. Yeah, just those back there, scale on the X to 0. Cool. Alright, so there we have it. Okay, so one last thing I want to quick do, and that is very easy, is just kind of extrude this back in so we can put those details inside there like it is on the final model. So we're going to hit extrude, scale just a little bit down, so we have something like that, and then I'm going to extrude back a little bit. Okay, then we have to delete these two faces here that got created because of our mirror modifier. We do have clipping on, just to remind you guys. Alright, X, delete faces, and then we have, let me go Z to see, okay, we have face across there, X, delete that face as well. Alright, I still see that. Okay, that can be deleted as well. Right, so there we go. Okay, so that's going to wrap up the first part of this tutorial. If you guys want to see the second part where I do all the micro displacement awesome details, go ahead and check out part 2. That'll be up soon, and let me know what you think. Also, let me know what you think about the face cam. If you noticed, I'm back with my face. And let me know if you like it, let me know if you hate it. Leave your thoughts down in the comments, and I'd like to check those out. But yeah, that's going to do it. Again, big shout out to Gleb Alexandrov for making this amazing looking render. His course that he did with 80 burrs is simply incredible, and definitely check that out. It's in the description. And that's going to do it for part 1. Come back and watch part 2, and let me know what you think. So I'll see you later, guys. Bye.